Yeah, why don't we? Test, test, test. Treat this like your home. Use whatever space you can find. There are also sofas in the front. My Notion is not working. Stupid Notion. Notion always breaks.
Stop looking at me. It's not my fault.
Stupid Notion. Okay, can I guys just get a show of hands who registered for demo? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, for Faye is 5. Alright. So we'll have a mix of technical and non-technical demos. I haven't figured out how to sequence it. And my Notion is not working, for real. Okay, so today we will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 demos. How about we start with Ambient Cortex, Stefan, since Stefan is already here. So Stefan is going to show always-on AI layer that turns conversations into live intelligence. So we've been playing around with hardware for a bit, and you can see like what are some fun things you can build on hardware. Anyway, for those of you who are new here, welcome to SQ Collective. I'm Michael. I'm the founder of the space. And yeah, we run coworking Fridays every Friday. We do this every Friday, so if this is the first time, you can come back again next week. And we always do in a month 3 sharing sessions. So people from the community will share what they are building, and then we will do 1 demo day. So this is the once a month demo day that we do, where we really try to encourage people to just show what they're building and also how they are progressing in whatever that they're building. So we don't really mind if you show the same things week over week. We just want you to share some of your learnings with people, right, on how you are moving ahead on your projects. So I'm missing a HDMI cable.
I need USB-C.
Huh? USB-C. Sheena, the USB cable, the HDMI cable, the long one. No, we need the long one. Yeah, so that's too short.
Oh, yeah,
We have that. So quick one, since we are waiting, let's do a short plug for our new Embodied Labs. Embodied Labs, cue Justin. Right, so we have a robotics lab set up here at SQ. It's on the other side of the room, all the way there. Robots are gonna come soon, in a couple of weeks. We just wanna do some sharing on what's gonna happen, what's brewing at SQ Collective, all right?
Do I have to hold the microphone like this? Like you? No. So hi, everyone. Justin and...
I'm Jeremy. Nice to meet you.
we're both involved in this Embodied Agents Lab that we're setting up just on the right-hand side. So if you go towards the kind of couch area, any better word for that?
The couch area.
Over near the couch area, there's a whole space that we've set up for doing embodied agents. So embodied agents literally means you're doing something with AI and you want to bring it to the real world. So we've got robots over there, a whole lab set up so you can do electronics there. We were just debugging circuits this morning for a brain control interface that we're wanting to connect to this robotic painting system.
Yeah, so we're going to be showcasing quite a lot of interesting stuff at AI Engineers. AI Engineers is one of the best highest signal events. It's actually happening all across the world, in San Francisco, over in other parts, and the first ever one is going to happen in Singapore in May, so 15th to 17th, and there will be a whole robotics track, embodied AI, tons of demos, super cool work. The team that is working on that is also pretty big, 65 labs here in Singapore. I think they've done some events here at SQ. So if you guys are interested, definitely in the lead up to that, there'll be a lot of different events, workshops, showcases. Do join us for that. And if you want to hack around and just build stuff, if you want to get your hands dirty and really start getting to more hardware, reach out to Justin, reach out to me, and Sid as well. There's another guy also, and Michael. Yeah, for sure. This is only possible because of this whole space. It's super cool. Yeah. So plug Michael and SQ. Thanks for all being here.
Yeah, and just one thing is to say, if anybody is interested in learning about robotics and all the AI stuff, if anybody has experience doing anything with robotics, or if you have engineering experience in terms of wiring, cabling, soldering, any of this kind of stuff, we're doing stuff across every discipline. The AI.engineer conference, so that's literally that's AI.engineer. If you just put that in your web browser, you can see the event that's happening in Singapore. The first day on the 15th is going to be a whole bunch of practical workshops. So those are kind of 1.5 hour sessions. On the 16th and 17th is going to be talks, and it's across multiple areas, not just embodied AI, but that's just the one that we're kind of focused on. But there's going to be a whole bunch of different demos. We're setting up a robot playground, so there's literally going to be a space for, you're going to see all different stuff from high-end Galaxia robots, which are $100,000 robots moving around, to more practical and smaller ones that people are working with and playing with. So we've got a whole bunch of projects, and we're running basically kind of every week or so a gathering on Wednesdays, so an Embodied Agents gathering here in SQ. And if you're interested to get involved, we'd love for you to join. So you don't have to have any experience, you just have to have interest. But if you have experience, that would be cool too. So we're looking for people to collaborate with. Thanks very much. The end. Yeah.
Anyway, in the lead up to AI Engineers, we're going to host a ton of events here also. With Codex is going to have a community meeting here. We're going to have a couple, Daytona, etc. So look forward to that. Follow our Luma for updates on that. Of course, the Embodied guys will also be hosting a robots gathering. So hardware guys also follow us. All right. So now I'll pass on the time to Stefan to show off his new project. All right, Stefan, please.
Thank you. So speaking about hardware, I think Michael and I started also a little bit diving into this field. It started a few months ago. A friend of mine told me about OMI. It's a small recording device that can be on all the time. And but just I played a little bit with it in the beginning, and just for one day I didn't like it and didn't really work as well. So I put it back into the box, and also because it looks a little bit ugly in my opinion. But then Michael played around with it and showed me that he managed to connect it to a local running model to process information. And so I thought, okay, let's bring it up again. And on Wednesday, basically, I played around because I had this idea of something listening to conversations, can be an online meeting, business, or in person. And I can get injected with context about what I'm talking about, matching against my personal knowledge, all my tools like calendars, whatever. And yeah, I just want to show a little bit about it. One sec. And yeah, I found a very, oh no, not I, Opus found a very impressive name for it, Ambient Cortex. So let's look into it. Basically the idea, as I said, is that when you are in a conversation, then a lot of fragments, what you are talking about, get lost. We all know transcription tools that extract actionable items and whatnot, facts about the meeting. This tool structures it and feeds it into the database that my personal agent is using, and at the same time gives some real-time injections. So this is how it works. This tool is on, as I said, all the time. It captures what's spoken, it transcribes it, and decides if there's something in there that can be helpful to look up and send me back. So it calls the tools, if necessary, even does web search, and then sends me something into my Telegram feed, which is, by the way, there on the right. You can see it's running right now. Bear with me, I built it on Wednesday, so it might not be the most helpful yet, but to get a glimpse of what it should do. Here, for example, it knows Michael because it's in my database. Yeah, so two outputs. One is capturing actionable stuff, like enriching projects that I have on my own, that I work on, people that I'm talking with, or other things like information. And the second output is, as I said, the live context in Telegram. So yeah, this is just more information about this. Opus did the presentation today in the morning, so I didn't really look into it too much. But this is an overview of the tools that are connected right now. So one is the memory, everything that I fed into my database so far. The knowledge base with projects, with all kinds of nodes, my contacts, people profiles, because my agent basically builds people profiles to understand where I know them from, what they are working on, what is the network with them. It's connected to email, calendar, I even feed my current location into it. It always knows where I am. Web search, and also my WhatsApp stuff, so I can look up if there's some information in my WhatsApp that I already forgot during the conversation, so it can help me. So let's go into a use case. So very simple one, when I'm in a conversation maybe with Michael and we talk about, oh yeah, we should get some food after all this day playing with the tools. And so it captures this information, and because it knows my location, it can look up if there's something close by, and even checks my calendar if I have a free time slot for this, and then sends me in Telegram a useful location and time for this. And then the second use case is basically the not real-time one. after a meeting, it just captures all the stuff, what we already know from these transcription tools, but because it's connected to the entire database, it can match it against it and enrich the information there, so everything is kept. We all know about this transcription tools. In the end, we get a nice summary. Oftentimes, it really looks very sexy even, but what are we doing about it? Not too much in most cases, at least for me. So this just feeds the database already. And then, yes, okay, fact checking, which I also find very useful. If there's a conversation and we come up with some numbers, maybe even guessing about something, and the system understands that this is not the correct fact, or there's something to know about the fact, so it can feed me. Think of being in an online meeting, and you have this running in parallel, so you can come up with smart stuff to contribute in the meeting. Okay, I want to show you how this, I made it visual. I mean, in the end, I only need this feed here, but in order to see how it looks, I created this dashboard just to show. So basically, here we can see the transcript. As I said, this device is not the best, so it doesn't capture everything very well. But this is how it works. So it captures the transcript and then makes a decision. Like here, the conversation is describing the functionality of the system, blah, blah, blah. No, nothing is required. So it decided like this. And this is something also that learns over time. This is why I added in my Telegram these two buttons, thumbs up, thumbs down, so I can feed directly back if this is a useful information, and the system can learn from it and understand if it should continue bringing this. So if I click here for action items, this is how it looks. Like I was talking about Michael and it found something about Michael, so it decided to bring this up. And then I can just say, okay, this is good information or something, and then there's a feedback loop every night that trains the system on this stuff. Yeah. So if you look at things maybe from earlier, so here, hot time in Singapore, and it understands this, looked it up in the internet. Earlier I had lunch with my girlfriend, and I discussed with her, because we are in Sengkang at the weekend, so it looked up if there's some nice breakfast spot, and it even told me that the calendar for tomorrow is currently clear, so yeah, useful stuff, I would say. Okay, we have 5 minutes limit. I think I was over it, but yeah, just to share something that's maybe interesting, and if you like to connect, then here's the QR code. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. All right, so this really brings like hardware to the next level, because it's live in a meeting. Depending on how long you set the context, you can actually get AI to surface new research to you that's relevant to the meeting. Or if you have a personal RAG, knowledge-based setup, it can also look through that. So how do you orchestrate that is very interesting, right? So I also built one. Mine is revolved around matching people. So I have a back end that matches, for example, who you want to find in real time. So if you're having a conversation with me, my Telegram will actually keep surfacing LinkedIn profiles. There's a good match for you. So it's a pretty interesting world now. Okay, next up, I don't know if Shalini is here already. Is Shalini here? Shalini is not here. Then Phil on Trajan. Let's go, Phil. All right, welcome Phil to share about Phil is going to be talking about generating and maintaining code-based context for product managers, and also agents. Yeah, sorry about the wires.
Hey guys. Easy. Cool, so I thought I'd start off with a quick intro. I run 2 companies here. I've been here for 8 years. I'm co-founder and CTO of a food and hospitality group. So among other things, we develop enterprise-grade AI solutions for companies in the food and beverage, hospitality, retail industry. One of the interesting things building in the enterprise space is that we're consistently at least 6 to 18 months behind of kind of where the frontier is. And so one of the reasons why I founded Camino last year. So we're a small research lab. We do a lot of open source work, frameworks like these. They're all open source. So the first one that we launched was Elephantasm, which is a long-term agentic memory and identity framework that we worked on. And then a few others. Happy to chat to anyone who's interested in these afterwards. And some of the things we do as well are tools. And so Trajan is the one I'm going to share today. For context, Trajan focuses on maintaining code-based context for your repositories, for projects you're working on. And let me move over here. I suppose the background is if you're working on a project yourself, and you're the sole developer, you can probably manage the context quite well because you've got your MD files, you've got your Claude Code or whatever harness you're using, but you don't really have to share it with anyone else. That changes pretty quickly once you've got a handful of developers, maybe you've got 5 or 10 engineers on the team, everyone's shipping obviously much more code than they used to in the past. And so context, I found, has become incredibly important, especially in our hospitality group, where we have six engineers on a whole range of projects, right? So when you log in, you see an overview here of your project, and I'll just walk you guys through. So in fact, let's set up a new project. So I'm going to connect a repository. So this is for Cream. This is a new framework we've been developing. I can select multiple repositories because you might have, it depends how you structured your project or your application, because you might have separate repositories if you split between front-end, back-end, or microservices. In this case, it's just one. And so I import that, and what ends up happening is the Trajan agent sets up a bunch of sub-agents that look at the repository. This is connected via a GitHub app that I've installed. And it'll look at the code base, it'll map out some documentation, it'll process a change log, look at plans that you've got in there from your MD files, etc. So while this cooks its way through, this might take a couple of minutes depending on how big the repository is and how many files you've got. But let me move to Heimdall, which is another project we've got. So this is what it looks like once it finishes populating. So we've got an overview tab for this project. There's an intro block that describes what this application is, what it does. We pull a bunch of stats directly from GitHub. So all of this stuff, obviously, you would have on GitHub as well. But we go one level deeper as well. So we've got architecture mapped out. So you've got these API endpoints over here mapped out, database models if you're using ORMs. I mean, it depends on the application, but those would be mapped out as well. Services and operations, especially if you've got kind of agentic workflows, you'd have those mapped out, an overview, and then front end if you've got a front end. And then there's a technical blueprint, which is really just a single overview summary document that describes the entire repository or the entire project that you've got here. Obviously, if you've got multiple repositories linked into this project, it would do that for multiple all in one. So use case in particular for this overview is if you say you've got a new engineer joining the team, or you've got an engineer maybe who's been working on an unrelated project, something else, this is a great place for them to get started, but it's also a great place for your agent to familiarize yourself. So I think a lot of us would set up, you'd have some kind of shortcuts or hooks to give the agent context once you clear it so that they're familiar with your code base. We have an MCP available here, so you just link that up to your agent and it has sufficient context about what you're building. I'll whiz through the others. We've got a code map as well. So this basically forms a graph of, and creates nodes based on methods, classes, functions, etc. that you have across your code base. Again, I mean, looks kind of snazzy, but I don't think you'd use it necessarily personally, but I think quite useful for agents to see relationships between different files and different classes, especially for massive code bases. And then we've got a docs library. So these docs are all auto-generated, but you can go in and generate a custom document. So you can say, let's see. Maybe I need to zoom out. There we go. Architecture. And then here, I can decide what document type I'd like to have. I might just want to have a quick overview. I want to put it into an email format because I'm going to be sending it to a client, and external non-technical as an example. So that would go ahead and generate that document. And you can add those into your library. So that's maintaining context. I'll finish off with a quick look at changelog. This basically just scrapes all of your Git commits in chunks and turns them into something meaningful. And then we also have a progress overview, so I can see exactly who's shipped what over these timelines. I think this has automated a lot of the work that product or project managers previously would have done. So in our case, we haven't hired a product manager or a project manager. We just continue hiring devs and engineers into the team. And I use this as a kind of intermittently as a tool to see what the team is shipping. So I have the same view as well under activities. So I can see across all of the projects who's shipping what. Yeah. That's the long and the short of it, really. We're hiring both at Camino and in my group, so if anyone's interested in building cool stuff, happy to chat. That's it.
Any questions? I think this is, personally, I find it so useful because I'm a vibe coder and I'm building so much stuff and I have no way to track where my databases are connected, where my API endpoints are going. And like I manually do this, I track my features in linear and I like export this architecture stuff through like Excalibur so that as a non-technical person, I see like where are this. So I do it manually now, I will totally use this. So anyone has any questions for this? No one? So if not, you can ping you up privately later. All right, so we will move on to the next one. Something lightweight, maybe altitude. Trajan, are you here? Is Trajan here? Trajan is not here, all right. And now let's have Fahad. Fahad will be talking about teaching concepts interactively. Are you ready? You want to share? So Fahad is building hyper-interactive learning interfaces, and he's going to show what he's built over the last few weeks.
I sit down as usual. I think Sophie, she's going to show some stuff too.
Oh, yeah, but my wire is not long enough. My wire is not long enough.
It's not? That should be good. Alright. So, should be good, right? Restart mirror. Hello, hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, so just a quick backdrop. This is my effort at Michael and Sophie and Matthew pushing to help me demo more of my experimentations. So this is very, very quick thing, V1, and my goal is probably every month to show our progress and how we're experimenting on rethinking interactive learning and fundamentally. So just a quick thing about me, when I was growing up, young and actually old, I always struggled with learning, fundamentally. It was never relevant to me when I'm sitting in class or going to a particular class, was not very engaging. I was not inspired by the materials, and sometimes not even inspired by the teacher teaching the subjects. I could not understand it, and so I was discouraged by it, and I would just prioritize other things in my life. This changed when, in my 20s, I took a class in philosophy. I was really engaged by the materials. I was inspired by the professor. And because of philosophy, I naturally went into logic, programming, math, etc. And I was just, it kind of was like a light bulb in my mind. It was like my whole life, I was not able to engage with these learning materials, and I became obsessed with learning. And the irony is that if I ask one of my friends, why am I focused so much on learning? If anybody ever asked me, in high school, I was a high school clown. I caused a lot of trouble all the time. And the irony is that when I said my teachers that I published books and I went actually into teaching, it's a very strange turn of events. And I'd like to share that with you because I realize perhaps our calling is the thing that we struggle with the most. I've noticed my friends that have done really, really well in the startup space, it's actually the thing that they struggle with the most. So because of that, I was doing a lot of graphics programming, and primarily in the community of WebGL and WebGPU. I run the community sites, webgl.com and webgpu.com. If you're interested, I would love to connect with you. But WebGL has been around for over a decade. WebGPU became the default last year. And what that allows for you to do is do graphics rendering in a browser, like very, very highly interactive interfaces. You can also do general compute and machine learning in the browser. So let me share with you some things here that might be interesting for you all. This is what we're going to be working towards. So this is actually something that we just showcased yesterday. This is for AP to watch on the GQ website. And I'm kind of try to show you what the end result looks like and our process to get there. So this is walking you of understanding how this watch is created. I'm not sure you guys can
What's
hear.
up? I am Cam Wolf. I am GQ's watch editor.
So I'm just going to skip past
conversation
this. So you go through this, you're scrolling through, and then this person is explaining to you how this watch is created.
Before we dive into the mechanics, though, I want to talk about the legacy, specifically what the RD series.
Okay, this gives you an idea, right? What immersive learning experiences could look like. The challenge is that creating this experience requires a ton of coding and many different types of tools. So we're trying to figure out what are the different approaches of creating this experience for people that are not technical, because if you have a concept you want to teach, we don't want to show that, bring that complexity to the author themselves. So I guess in the past month, this is what we've been experimenting with. Obviously for the folks that have used Claude Code, you might be very familiar with this idea of interactive widgets, but we just built like a very simple thing I call it Interactive I/O. We're going to open source this, where with a very few prompts, you get a particular pedagogy of explaining a topic. So right now, for example, with 3 prompts, I'm able to, let's just say, visualize the difference between the Cartesian and polar coordinates, right? And then we build a little editor here. So for example, I come here and I say, here, I don't want this, I delete it. So this tool allows for you, let me just get out of inspect mode, very easily, let me just load this back up and go back in here so I can show you where it goes. That tool creates the interactive widget that we can embed into many different situations, right? So the first experience that we're experimenting with is teaching this game 2048. I built this game, I think maybe 7 or 8 years ago. Let me show you what the end result looks like. Let me solve this. Okay, so this game, for the folks that maybe have seen this game before, it's just a 3D version of this, but you have lighting, you have reflections you can see on that cube, right? And then this is a 4x4x4, but you can make it as large as the grid as you want. So this tutorial, basically, you have a sandbox environment. Let me close this up. So you can kind of think about, hey, that same idea of the widget sits inside of this. And let me go back. Let me show you what that explanation where it sits. So for example, it doesn't matter how much text I write, to understand the logic of when you press write, what happens in that grid system, doesn't matter how much text you write, it's very hard to understand the logic behind that. So this visualization that was created in the other tool, it sits in here, and it walks you, and it connects directly to the code. So now when I press write, it's showing you exactly the logic. So then as you go down and you implement it, you see exactly what you learn and how it applies. So that tool for creating the interactive widget, you basically create it, you drop it into your tutorial, it maps to your code and helps you visualize that in real time. So that's V1. And if you're interested, would love to experiment this learning experience with you. If you know JavaScript, I can help you sit on one-on-one tutoring, helping you walk through this process. So if you're interested in rebuilding this game, it gives you a very strong foundation. You can remix it, add a lot of your own functionality. You can publish it as your own. It'll be all open source. Would love to connect with you. And then basically, the next month, I'm thinking of, one thing is kind of an insight, is I feel this is not the right format anymore, because it's like content first, and then we're going to be adding on some sort of LLM support. I'm rethinking this idea that how do I build the experience in such a way that the LLM itself can teach you, right? So all the content becomes reference materials, and it's dynamically creating that experience for you along with those widgets. So that's going to be hopefully next month's experimentation. And last but not least, showed you the tool and then the course. Well, again, as I mentioned to you, if you're all interested in learning 3JS, how to build your first cool application with 3JS, we'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn, and I'm here Monday through Friday, so I'll give you all the time that you need to go through that experience. Thank you so much.
Questions, anyone? Last call?
Has anybody used, by the way, WebGL or WebGPU at all? I know you're demoing something.
The map rendered, the map I showed, the connection.
Oh, no.
Based on.
Nice. Did you use a library for that?
Yeah.
Which library, do you know? Hell yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Michael.
Right, next one, the last demo you signed up, chicken duck. Everyone was wondering what chicken duck was about. I guess you are not going to find out again. Chicken duck. Okay, next, maybe Faye. Her demo is about making bubbles.
Where's it connected?
Oh yeah. Ah, no, this one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very short. Let me sit down.
Yeah, great. Like really great segue into what I'm gonna showcase here. Thank you for her and all the really cool demos today. Let me start the slideshow. So I'm gonna share a little bit about a side project that I recently worked on over the weekend, playing with using AI vibe coding for creative purposes. So my name is Faye, if I haven't met you already, hi. I try to come here every Friday, like great community, thank you Michael. So let's just jump straight into the demo. So here is what I built recently for making bubbles. Let me see. Takes a moment to load. I think I need to adjust my camera. So this is live right now. You can see me. It's probably really weird, huge face. But if I do this, I make bubbles. And the longer I hold, the bigger bubbles it gets. And you know, this is actually getting quite tricky right now just because I think it's detecting all my background. That's all me. This is unexpected. So we have extra bubbles. But yeah, like aside from making bubbles, like everywhere, I can also break the bubbles. So I can like hook it, pop it. Nice. And yeah, I think my reflection is popping my bubbles unexpectedly. This is actually a really unexpected demo. I did not expect this. So quite fun. But let me see what else is in my presentation. Yeah, so I want to prep something. So just like reflecting on this, I realized, like without revealing my age, about 10 years ago, this was my school project where we were also making bubbles. But back in the days, like I guess like really echoing Fahad on learning computer graphics in school, it was not easy. We were spending many nights like not sleeping to build a demo like this, and that's written in C, OpenGL, using specialty hardware like the Leap Motion to detect all these hand tracking. But what that is now versus what it is now, like I was able to build this demo in really 2 hours, brainstorming with Claude Chat first, and then create the prompt, bring it to Claude Code, plan it, build it, debug a little bit. It only took me 2 hours, ran out of credits, but it's incredible like that is running on any browser with the WebGL development, accessible by anyone now, even on your phone. So if you want to try it out, this is a QR code. You can scan it and it'll run on your phone. If you want to make some bubbles, this is where you go. Any questions?
Yeah, actually a question, because I know you've gone through the pain of doing this stuff at a low level with OpenGL before, and now that you're able to experiment much more quickly, where do you see the future of this type of experiences going? Do you have any gut instinct on that?
Yeah, no, but I do have some questions about it as I thought about it. As I guess like coming from a background where I did study this, I did spend a whole semester to learn the fundamentals of computer graphics. Like, I wonder it helped me today, like to describe what I want to AI, so that it builds exactly how I wanted it to be. I remember when I was a student, like trying to build that like little demo here. It's kind of ugly, and there's like no way for us to make it look good either. Without capability, but like today, like if you're like someone like me, you're actually focusing more on the polish rather than really wanting to know how it's built. Like today, it really gives you a shortcut. Like I really just describe, hey, I want it to look like Apple, like put glass design. I want translucency. I want like the UX of I want it exactly pinch and grow while you're like pressing and holding. Yeah, so if you're focusing on stuff that are higher level, it really gives you a shortcut to creativity right now, I would say, with all these AI tools. So I highly encourage anyone, if you have an idea of like, even though it's like me, kind of useless, it's still fun to play with these stuff. Don't know if that answers your question.
It does, understand. I guess it resonates with me. What I'm wondering is, as you're going through that creative process, Faye, how would that ideal experience for you look like as you were experimenting here? Because were you doing it inside your code editor? Were you doing it within the Claude interface? Because I know you know the lower level graphics, but you decided, I don't want to deal with the complexity there. I'm only trying to focus on the polish, right? Do you have a kind of a gut instinct about what that experience would look like for you in the future as you're experimenting more?
Yeah, so there are some parts like I ran out of tokens to continue on this, but there are like certain parts like that I actually wanted to tweak it further, like down to maybe it's the timing of the animation, like how it fades or how the buoyancy of the bubbles. When it comes to those physics experience, like these things are very hard to describe in words, and I was like just brainstorming about like, okay, maybe this is a good first goal, but for a UX engineer like myself who wanting to tweak in hyper details, maybe it would be great to have like a tweaking mode to have all these dials that tweaks the numbers for all of simulation fine points. I think like a combination of first describe what you want, break dump style, kind of gives you a rough picture of the creative vision that you have, but there might still be some really fine tweaks where I think, like having a dial to tweak the number or something that really, stuff that you cannot describe, like to give it exact of the look and feel that you want. I think that might be the interface for it.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions?
All right, if not, thank you, Faye, once again.
Oh yeah, I also have a QR code if you want to connect with me for whatever reason. So, let's go, okay. Who's next?
James, contact flow. James, yeah, okay, nice. So James is gonna show us how he capture business cards. Yeah, you can take a seat. You understand?
Windows is a bit different HTML.
HDMI. This is too short. All right.
Okay. Yeah, so good afternoon, everybody. So it's nice to see you guys here. I'm pretty new, so this is my first time presenting. The slides here, I just did it a few minutes ago. Okay, so yeah, pardon the simplicity of the slides. So myself, outside of my, I'm basically in a consulting company, but outside of it, I'll just name myself as AI enthusiast. I'm sure every one of you are AI enthusiasts as well, so we are all here to learn, myself as well, to learn from all of you guys here and the community over here. I started building applications since last year, so I've been building quite a number of applications since then, about 3 or 4. I haven't really think about commercializing these applications, but more about helping my own life, how it can actually assist myself. So basically, out of my job as well, I also do some speaking gigs. So I'm a habit advocate. So I'm very much into cultivating good habits and diminishing bad habits. So that is also part of my life. And the reason for that is where I actually started my first application. So I started to build this habit tracking portal, okay, where users can actually log in and track their habits so that it can be applicable to their daily life. So this habit tracking portal, that's where your habit system is. And of course, I incorporate a bit of AI. So there's this AI habit coach within these applications as well. And there are also some reflections I can do within this habit application portal. Okay, but today, because how this business card application come about is because whenever I go for networking sessions, okay, if I see any one of you, we have a drink or we have a, what's the first thing we do? We exchange business cards. What do you do? What do you do? Okay, this is my business card. I exchange. Of course, after collecting all these business cards, what do we do with that? Maybe in this digital world, we start to scan each other LinkedIn profile. But for those who has collected this business cards, probably once we go home, what do we do with it? Right? Maybe I'll just put it in one chunk of it. So the idea came about is, why not I digitalize all these business cards? How can I actually help me to digitalize all these business cards? And again, if I digitalize these business cards, I don't have to worry about the physical card anymore. Same thing, I can throw away. But I actually capture all this information within this app itself. So that's where the name card is there. So I built myself, of course, using Cloud Code to do this contact list web application. It's a quite easy application. I mean, I use vibe coding as well. So yeah, half a day you can actually come up with this application. So other than that, of course, I link it up to Telegram. Okay, so through the Telegram, I can actually inquire. So I can talk to Telegram and say, oh, who are the contacts that I have contacted within these few days? And of course, through Telegram, you can prompt me the information. And I can say, okay, can you give me the list of email addresses of all my contacts? If I want to do a mass email out, same thing, this information can also be shown in the Telegram. Of course, at the end of it, I hope to expand upon to QR code, scanning the QR code. I also hope to expand this application to more CRM-based kind of application. Okay, so that is basically the gist, right? Okay, so this is my contact list application, right? So you can see I have altogether 11 contacts. So it's very recent, I just did it quite recently. So if I want to add a contact, okay, I can do a scan of the name card. And I'll just take a photo of the name card, right? Upload it. Okay, so card scanned, and I have all the information already populated for me within a few minutes. Okay, of course, within the remarks itself, I can say, oh, this card has been created today, or I can put all kinds of remarks lah. So as and when I encounter any one of you, I can always update this database. And through the Telegram itself, I can always access this information. Okay, so I can just do confirm and save. Okay, so contact saved. The name is Fleming. Okay, so you can see there's a new entry already there, Fleming Tan. Okay, and if I go to my Telegram, so if I type it, Fleming, right? So okay, it will take a while. So how I link up to this Telegram, basically I'm using OpenClaw. So I think you guys know about OpenClaw as well. So I actually link it up. Okay. Okay, his Raven is a bit slow, so maybe it needs a bit of coffee as well. Okay, in case it doesn't work right, at the end of it, you get this information. Voila. So you get the information there. Okay, all right, that's for my demo here. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. So if you all need one question.
Thank you. I really like this app. I wanted to ask, so what if you've met, well, you're Fleming, but let's say I met you 3 months ago and I actually can't remember your name. Would it be beneficial if you were also to prompt to say some connection, something that we spoke about, so you encourage the person to write something that you might remember them by? And then if you say, I don't remember this person, I met them at this conference, they maybe were wearing a blue shirt, give me this, and give me all the contacts that are kind of like that, and then from there maybe you can make that connection. Is there room for something like that?
It's possible. So you can actually have like a category or a tag, like to put in all this content, and you can basically search for all this information. If you don't know the name, you can search by category, you can search by the period, the date which you have made this contact previously. And I tried before, it works. It actually lists down all the names accordingly. Yeah. Any other questions?
Okay, we will squeeze in one. Okay, thank you once again, James, for the sharing. On this note also, you can populate into graphs. When you have graphs, you can label it in terms of temporal data. So you can actually query based on the date when this meeting was done. Okay, we will squeeze in one last one. Bobby. Bobby says that this will be your last dating app. So they matchmake professionals for long-term relationships. So if you like someone in your office, this will be the app for you.
Wait a second. All right. Oh, wait a second. Maybe the setting needs to be different. Oh, here we go. Can we do this? Yes, we can. All right. Hello, everyone. I am completely new to this community and very excited to be talking to fellow builders. Really excited to see so many faces, and looks like a very promising and great community that Michael has built. So thank you for creating this. And my name is Bobby, and I'm building Bloom, which is hopefully going to be your last dating app. And this one is very different because this is actually designed to be deleted. And just a little bit about myself first. I am born and raised in Denmark, and I actually specifically came to Singapore to build this. And previously I spent a lot of time in blockchain, but then I got kind of tired of that, and now I'm trying to fix modern dating. And admittedly, I'm a bit embarrassed to admit that I'm a dating app power user. And I actually checked my phone today on Tinder. My first match was 8 years ago in 2018. And since then, I've been on like 5 dates. And still, sadly, I am single after 8 years. And, I've been trying my best. I've been using the holy trinity of dating apps. Bumble, Tinder, Hinge, you know it, right? And I was thinking to myself, maybe I'm the problem. Shit. Maybe, my standards are a bit too high. And maybe I'm just that unlucky guy who's going to die forever alone. Then I realized, wait a second, these apps don't have our best interests at heart. They're all owned by the same corporation, which is Match Group. And they basically make money by you not being successful. So they designed a money-making machine to basically treat you as a commodity that is supposed to be swiped on, easily extracted, and quickly forgotten. So I have made it into my mission with Bloom to redesign the system from the ground up in order to make us all successful. And this is how it works. Basically, you come onto the platform, and we want to filter out for serious relationship seekers, so only long-term and life partners. And then you have to go through a voice onboarding so that we can better understand you. And we think that by expressing yourself through voice, we can much more easily understand you compared to filling out a form. And then every day at approximately 7 p.m., we will curate some matches for you, or one match, and we think that this person is worthwhile to meet because you have similar interests, similar values, and yeah, we get straight to the point. No chatting. We want you to schedule a date and you just have to meet up. We handle everything else for you. No like, oh, you should go to the cafe or like, you know, go on a hike. We just plan everything for you and you just show up. And yeah, then instead of chatting inside the app, we want you to chat in real life. But here's the catch. This is going to be a pay-to-date model because we think that this allows people to show skin in the game so that, okay, you actually show some commitment before you meet up and show that you're actually interested. And this way we also align incentives so that, you know, we make money from you potentially meeting your future wife. And yes, then we also take care of the last part of the date. You know, we want to know how did this date go, and we want to continually improve our matchmaking system so that we can help you find the one and only using, you know, personalized AI models. And that is it. If you are interested, if you want to be one of the first users, have some feedback, comments, and so on, this is my WhatsApp. Feel free to scan it. And thank you guys for listening.
Any questions from the floor?
Yes, sir?
Yeah, I mean, I have a quick question here. So you mentioned about using voice as a signature to register. Would you consider of using voice and video simultaneously as a means to register as well? If not, why?
That is actually a great point. I haven't thought about that. Yeah, initially I was thinking only voice, but I think video makes much more sense because then you can like show you're actually real, and like one of the biggest things about these apps is like you can easily fake things. And
I didn't quite get it when you mentioned. Can you elaborate more about why your choice of voice?
Yes, so it's like when you give people the opportunity to talk about who your ideal partner is, it's much more, I guess it's like much easier, right? Because you're just having a conversation. Whereas if you have to like type these things out, it feels kind of like work. So we want to just make it as easy as possible for you to express, okay, this is the person I'm looking for, this is who I am, and these are the things, you know, that I care about, right? And I think that is much easier to do if you were to talk compared to like writing about it. Yeah, so that's the idea. But I think, yeah, video makes a lot of sense as well, so I'm gonna be thinking about that. Does that make sense?
Why did you come to Singapore with all this?
Great question, yes. I've been asked this a lot by my friends as well. And yeah, there's 3 primary reasons. First one, since I am Asian myself, it's much easier for me to like talk to other Asians compared to back home, where it's only like white people. No offense. And the second reason is because of the density of Singapore. It's a very like, you know, just one giant city basically, right? And so it's easy to get network effects, and this is very important for these kind of apps. And then thirdly is cultural. So in the, I guess like Singapore has like traditional Chinese values, like care about family and still want like long-term partners, more so. At least more so compared to, you know, where I'm from, like in Europe, where mostly it's like short-term things, but here it's like, you know, want more long-term. So those are the primary 3 reasons. And then again, Singapore is like quite accustomed to these kind of apps, so I guess it kind of makes sense. But great question though. Anything else? please feel free to come talk to me if you are interested in any way.
All right. Thank you.
so much.
Thank you, Bobby. Okay, so now it's 2:30. We will stop the demos for today, 2:40 actually. So for those who didn't manage to demo, we'll do it the next round. We run this every month, right? No, I took a photo, it's okay. Yeah, okay. So thank you. Just hang around, chat with people around the space, see if there are things that you can collaborate on or if you need help with anything. We close at 6. Feel free to hang around, do your work. Thank you, everyone. See you next week.